Good morning. While Hurricane Irma barreled across the Caribbean and made its way through Florida last weekend, Florida's and the nation's political engines, just like Irma's eye, continue to spin. Two former congressmen from opposite sides of the aisle, David Jolly and Patrick Murphy, launching a unique lecture tour to pull back the curtain on Washington's current political chaos. Now, I had the chance to sit down with the bipartisan duo before they hit the road in our Sunday Spotlight.
All right, David, Patrick, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yes,
Appreciate you being here in the studio.
Good to be with you.
And you know what, before we get to your tour, I just want to talk about your reaction to the president's decision on DACA, along with Harvey relief, the debt ceiling, and dealing with the president. Any work going to get done?
Well, that's one of the things that we want to address in this tour, because there are so many important issues that we have to get done in this country. But we believe that there are structural problems preventing that kind of progress from happening. And most of these issues that you just laid out, whether it's DACA, whether it's Hurricane Harvey, whether it's the debt ceiling, infrastructure, tax reform, are common sense measures that we believe 75, maybe 80% of our colleagues could agree on if there were some structural changes to our political system right now.
Common sense measures. That's what I heard.
That's right.
Do you hear this?
And they're deadline driven. Listen, the debt ceiling, funding for Harvey, the end of the year budget, those are deadline driven items that will get done. The bigger question on DACA actually does speak to a little bit about what we're talking about on this statewide tour. Why are the parties so far apart? Or more importantly, if most people in the parties aren't that far apart, why do they govern like it? Right? Why do we have such division in this country? Why do we see it in Congress, see it out of the White House? What can be done about it? And so we're hoping people across the state of Florida come and join us. We're going to pull the curtain back on some of the structural problems, gerrymandering, campaign finance, and so forth. But we also plan to demonstrate that we can reach consensus on some of the hardest issues we face, from healthcare to border security to immigration.
Reach consensus. That sounds like it's going to be a tall order, no?
It is, but I think we are living in a deeply divided time. We know that politically. But in our hearts, I think everybody's asking, how do we get here? And how do we fix it? And how do we begin to build
consensus? Those are some pretty deep questions,
And so
David.
Patrick and I are going to spend the fall building consensus with a sustainable place for reasonable Democrats and reasonable Republicans to call home.
All right, Patrick, let's talk more about the tour. It's titled, Why Gridlock Rules Washington and How We Can Solve the Crisis. So you guys are visiting higher learning institutions across the state. The first question is, how'd you come up with the idea? Your own frustrations? Was it Rubio, the president, what you're seeing in Congress? What was it?
Kind of all of the above. And it really started with our experiences in the Congress trying to work together and seeing time after time party leadership or other measures constantly trying to pull not only us apart, but pull the parties apart. Us saying, we went there to solve problems, right? It's not about Republicans and Democrats winning. It's about this country winning. And too many common sense things are not moving forward right now. And I believe that Trump is somewhat a result of that lack of action from the Congress. And we believe that there are certain things that must change, you know, and probably too late, or hopefully not too late, but need to change very soon, such as the gerrymandering of the districts, the money in politics, the media that's becoming so partisan, pulling us apart, the lack of friendships, right? People don't even talk anymore across the aisle in Washington, D.C. There's no more friendships. There's a lot of, we think, easy things. If people start to learn and understand what they are, they might get more active and might participate and help change the course this democracy's on.
And David, with this gridlock that you're talking about, you know, you've been on the show before, and we know that you're a critic of President Trump.
Sure.
Where he stands right now, this division, this divisiveness that some say actually rules the country. Where are we right now? Are we a divided America, or are we one?
We are divided because our leadership continues to divide us. Bill Clinton got elected because he felt your pain. Donald Trump got elected because he felt your anger. And it's a failure of leadership to capture that anger and then just continue to perpetuate it. The need we have as a country is to solve these problems. You know, Patrick and I both had times in the Congress where we had reached a bipartisan solution and our own leadership killed it for reasons of protecting our majority, for reasons of campaign finance. For me, it was after the Pulse nightclub shooting, when you'll remember Democrats had to sit in on the House floor. We were wrestling with this issue of should somebody on the no-fly list be able to purchase a firearm. Well, we reached consensus. We solved that issue, and leadership killed it for a lot of reasons that are structural. So we want to empower voters by talking about how we can change things. Look, we had the Fair Districts Amendment that passed. It was a constitutional amendment in Florida because voters said, we want to change the way district lines are being drawn. There are ways voters can empower themselves, and forever change Congress and politics if we begin with this tour to talk about the very hard issues.
So is this, I was going to ask about what kind of audience you're expecting.
Sure.
Are those the type of people that you want to so-called empower, like David just said, Patrick?
And one of the things that, yes, it is, those are the folks, but people that are so frustrated right now that don't know how to channel that anger, we want to try to encourage them to not only show up to vote, but tell them, hey, it's not bad if you vote across the aisle. If you're voting for the person, not the party, it's okay to have a split ticket. It's okay to think a little bit outside the box and challenge some of your elected leaders and not just be a straight party ticket voter.
So, Paul, I've talked about a challenge to Donald Trump in 2020 should he seek re-election. And my reason for doing that is not to try to tear this president down, but to try to create a place within the Republican Party for mainstream center-right conservatives who believe in principles that used to reflect our party. In some ways, what Patrick and I are trying to do is say to people who are frustrated with the far extremes on both sides, or just the constant gridlock, that we're going to create this place for reasonable Republicans and reasonable Democrats. We're starting on September 12th in Tampa, University of South Florida. We'll be in cities across the state. For the most part, every event's open to the public. We're doing it at college campuses because they're centrally located. We hope the young people will turn out, but we hope people from all generations turn out and join us.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here in the studio with us this morning.
Great to be with you.
Thank you, and a good luck to you on your tour.